It just feels like, this ride that you just can't get off of. And the high highs are the days, the good days where we finally have a good day. I want to make up for having those tough couple of days where all I could do was lay down, get up, I'm going to do some laundry, I'm going to clean up, I'm going to talk to my friends. So then what happens is that a day or two later, it's followed by this crash where you can't get up out of bed, you can't get up off of the couch.
Welcome to the Long Haulers, the official podcast of the post-COVID support community, where members connect with experts and other long haulers to learn how to heal from the effects of post-COVID.
Welcome to the Long Haulers, the official podcast of the post-COVID support community. I'm Ash Dobbin Mohammed, nurse practitioner and medical director at RT Medical, and I'm a long hauler. Today, I want to talk about pacing and how it can help you live a manageable and predictable life and gain a sense of control over your illness and over your life. So let's get started. First of all, what is pacing? Pacing is budgeting your energy. It's resting before fatigue. It's breaking your day up into alternate periods of rest and activity. So why do we need to pace as long haulers? First of all, profound fatigue. A lot of us have this fatigue that is so strong and so overwhelming that it limits our ability to function and operate in everyday life. Secondly, quite a few of us also have what's known as post-exertional malaise, also known as a crash, a regression, a symptom flare, a dip. It goes by many names, but essentially post-exertional malaise, or PEM I like to call it, is when you move past your energy threshold, you quote unquote push through, and then have a symptom flare at the 24 to 72 hour mark. It usually is accompanied by dramatically worsening symptoms and can last for days, weeks, and sometimes even months. And we also need to pace because we have limited energy reserves. So there's no such thing anymore as sleeping in on one day or taking one day off, and then we go back to this high functioning baseline. That's not our reality right now. So pacing allows us to kind of bridge through this and be able to live this functional and operational life that is very consistent. So it can lead to gentle conditioning over time. It can increase your energy limits or energy envelope over time if done very well. It can help you live a manageable and a predictable life with a sense of control. Now, a sense of control can be really important in a lot of people with chronic conditions, especially those that are quite debilitating or quite overwhelming. So long COVID can be both of those. Very overwhelming in the symptoms that one can experience, and also very debilitating because the symptoms can be so severe that it can really impair our ability to function in everyday life. I definitely had a really hard time with this, and I think a lot of you can relate with this push and crash cycle. So I always think of it as a roller coaster with these high highs and these low lows, and it just feels like, this ride that you just can't get off of. And the high highs are the days, the good days where we finally have a good day. I want to make up for having those tough couple of days where all I could do was lay down, get up, I'm going to do some laundry, I'm going to clean up, I'm going to talk to my friends, go get some groceries, go do some work, whatever your life looks like. We all have our lives look a little bit different. We all have unique lives, but it's doing a lot and it's doing a lot more. And it's a lot of this pushing through. So then what happens is that a day or two later, it's followed by this crash where you can't get up out of bed, you can't get up off of the couch, really debilitated, really severe symptoms. followed by several days or weeks later again, finally you rested enough that you're able to function again, but then trying to make up for this lost time and overdoing it again. And this cyclical thing that's really hard to step back from. I also like to think of energy in this very common bank account analogy, with deposits being things like rest, sleep, and meditation, and withdrawals being physical activity, personal care, conversations. And pacing can really help us manage. It's like a money management system. It's an energy management system, and really helps get off of this push and crash cycle into a much more stable, predictable, controlled life. So for those of you who either are new to pacing or who have tried to pace, there's some room for improvement. What do you do? How do you start? What I've done every time I need to reevaluate how I'm pacing and how I'm spending my energy, I always go back to 50%. I start at 50% of my current energy expenditure. And then if you're on a push and crash cycle, this will help get you off of that immediately. So regardless of how good I feel, I absolutely limit my energy expenditure to 50%. And this does not mean if you're having a bad day that you go up to the 50%. This means that you're cutting everything in half. The next thing is to journal. So I'm not a huge fan of journaling, honestly, because it takes a lot of energy and time and concentration, but I find it really helpful. And I know a lot of you out there do. You can write out your activities, you can write out your rest periods, you can use it as a bit of a planner. You can include times that you were doing things or your exertional level, and you can also include symptoms and symptom severity. So this can be a really important and useful tool in learning how to pace. Do this 50% with or without journaling, or however you like to journal. It doesn't have to be the traditional way. And then after 5-7 days, reflect back. Have a look at the journal. Have a look at how you were feeling day after day. How do you currently feel on that day? And review your level of energy expenditure and how broken up was that into different parts. Did you have good rest periods? Were they maybe not long enough? Were they not frequent enough? That type of thing. And then adjust. Adjust the time spent doing activities, adjust the time spent resting, adjust the intensity, and then you can adjust your energy expenditure as needed. So if you're doing really well, you're feeling good, you have great symptom control, you can increase your energy expenditure by 10, maximum 20%, and then evaluate that week over week. If you find that you're actually not feeling quite well, you're still extremely fatigued and you're not able to do much, or you're having more symptoms, flares, then I would suggest that then you actually need to cut back quite a bit. And so this process can feel a bit intense or a bit laborious up front, but it becomes quite iterative over time. It becomes actually quite natural, and you'll find that it just honestly becomes a part of your everyday life after a while. That's really it. I find that pacing has made a huge difference in my quality of life. It's helped me be able to really gain that sense of control back. I find my life is much more manageable and predictable, and I have increased my energy envelope or my energy threshold or my energy capacity, whatever your term is for it. I've actually increased that a lot over time. Pacing can be a really great tool in your toolbox of ways to manage and cope and live with long COVID. Thanks for joining today. I look forward to seeing you next episode.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of The Long Haulers, the official podcast of the post-COVID support community. We hope you enjoyed this episode and that it'll help you take a step toward leading a healthier, happier, and more productive life. Take charge of your recovery at postcovidcommunity.com, where you can learn more about membership benefits and join our newsletter to get the latest information and tips from our network of specialized healthcare professionals. And don't forget to follow us on YouTube and your favorite social platforms at Long Hauler Life. Please share this episode with other long haulers in need of assistance. Take care.